Boy, were we productive in 2008. So, at the beginning of 2008, we had no idea of what was going to happen in the next year, which was that Oasis were going to come and take over our school. So, OYT was threatened with closure, which meant we were doing a production that was trying to save OYT and show the best bits of OYT over the years. And we were also doing the production we were actually doing, which was Graham, and we managed to win through with that into the national final of the All England Theatre Festival, which was amazing. And the first time we'd ever done that, we were expecting to finish those performances in March and then have nothing to do. And in fact, the performances went right the way through until June. So here we were doing all of this. And then I got offered another project. So we were working with Pearson on this book, which was the GCSE resource book for teachers, and there was another one for students as well. Johnny and Danny were writing extracts from this book, so 3 of the drama team from Oasis, and Danny and I were approached to write these 2 plays. So this one is The Girl Who Never Was, which Danny was commissioned to write, and I was commissioned to write Granny and the Wolf, which were, both of them were plays that would be perfect for the old performance exam. So they were to a particular length of time and a particular cast number. And I decided I wanted to do it with students with whom I'd done the GCSE, or at least they'd done the GCSE. So, with Simon Froud, Anthony Jennings, Georgina Mattack, Mike Mears and Charlie Wells, we went about devising this. And I don't know what nights we were doing this on, because we must have been rehearsing Graham a lot and the OYT a lot. And then suddenly, as we were due to kind of finish it, we were suddenly taken over by Oasis, and we weren't Oaklands Youth Theatre anymore. And the idea was to call this book the Oaklands Plays, the Oaklands Youth Theatre Plays. So that went out the window. They became the OYT plays in our minds, because Oasis decided that we could keep the OYT branding and become Oasis Youth Theatre. So we remained OYT. So I then thought, right, how do we make a splash? So yeah, we'd got Granny and the Wolf ready. It was a little short play. I thought, we'll do this for the Woking Drama Festival. So we did. And here's where one of the great things of Oasis happened. I mean, the presentation of this. This was Chris Webb's photograph. Wonderful photographer we had. And that's Chris Webb's photograph of Granny and the wolf and various other characters from the story. Just wonderful. And the presentation of this little magazine, again, it was, there's Granny and the Wolf again, featured on the inside. And it was this was one of the, probably the first Oasis Academy Lords Hill newsletters, but beautiful, some money went into that. So suddenly everything was upgraded, and things were looking nice, and we were feeling good. Our programme, sadly, wasn't upgraded. That was the programme that we had. But the poster was lovely. Again, I think Chris Webb would have done this. So we had someone on site. People have talked to me about collaboration. OYT, yes, he did do it, because I remember him developing this from something Chris Vaudian had done many years before. Our little OYT man. And this was the poster he did. We took it, we rehearsed it in September, so we went back to school, rehearsed it in September, and performed it right at the beginning of October as a real kind of opening for OYT, Oasis Youth Theatre. And the local paper came to review it, so this would have been like after 4 weeks. The company's name might have changed, but if Granny and the Wolf is anything to go by, it's lost none of its innovative flair or verve in the translation. Fantastic. It was an amusing, well-paced and engaging piece. It's the story, basically, of Granny falling in love with a wolf, and in fact they were having a game of hide-and-seek, and so the whole situation where the wolf was dressed up as Granny was misinterpreted, and so his killing, just as Granny is released from the wardrobe, is an absolute tragedy for Granny. It's the killing of her lover in front of her. And it was A beautiful, beautiful little piece. The company is lucky in its cast, who are excellent, and boy, they were. Michael Mears, who had played Graham, he was Red, was splendidly cold-hearted and bloodthirsty behind a veneer of a sickly smile, blonde hair and a very cheery manner. Caden White imbued Antonio Wolfio with such dignity and vulnerability to make his sad fate feel genuinely tragic. We then went to the Woking Festival. Now, I have to say, it didn't go down too well, and we won, I think we won a Best Newcomer award, but it wasn't up to the standard of our normal stuff, because we'd only been rehearsing for 4 weeks, and often we were rehearsing for a year. But a great summary. This was a lively and inventive production based on a bright idea. I felt the script hadn't been fully developed or polished, and that the genre of the play had not yet been sufficiently thought through. Well, we were able, with some of the help from this, to go on and do this. The climax was not fully achieved, but there was some good and inventive stage presentation and some excellent comedy moments from a cast who clearly had a multiplicity of talents. So, I mean, a really wonderful review. And then early on, Rex Wolford says, costumes and use of wigs were appropriate with tall cross-dressing Red a highlight. An excellent soundtrack of music and effects, I'm sure Danny would have done this, with the precise choreography of the opening sequence matched perfectly to the changes in the music. Great times. And then, I think Pearson must have had a relationship with Longman, and Longman produced the book, and there was one of Danny's play as well, and that came out. It lasted, and then suddenly the exam disappeared, and the GCSEs were changed. Oh, I've got some comments here from so this is now the final book, and this is the Longman reaction to it. They send their scripts out to teachers who assess them. The script is a very good GCSE script that allows for a different range of skills to be assessed, and I would use it in my school. The monologues for Kate are particularly effective and would enable top band candidates the opportunity to get high marks if they fully used their performance skills to convey the emotions and issues in the text. And they said about Danny's play that his was really good as well, very enjoyable to read. The humour and irony came across very strongly. Brechtian devices can be applied, which I think would link A-level and make a good bridge for students from GCSE. So we had these two lovely plays, and then very soon after that, probably wasn't very soon actually, it was quite a long while later, but it seemed to me very soon, the exams changed and the play ended up not being used, and I think at that point the plays were pulled, so they were published then by Resources for Drama, with whom I'd had a fabulous ongoing relationship. I'd written some books with Clive, and you'll hear more about him in future episodes. And it looks like Granny and the Wolf is about to be republished, and there should be some news about that at some point. At the moment, it's available as a download on my wheelerplaysstore.co.uk, and I say at the moment, this is May 2020. It's unlikely to be available on there for much longer, because I'm fairly sure there's some quite exciting news ready to go ahead to be announced.